Welcome to Leaders Legacy. I'm your host, Varsha Sarkar, and the topic of today's episode is the power of social proof, harnessing cognitive biases to build trust and credibility. Our guest today is Amit Chen, who is a LinkedIn top voice and a thoughtful marketing contributor. Amit here has experience in marketing and sales, and quite recently he has been awarded as the most admired marketing leader in World Marketing Congress Awards in 2023. Welcome to our show, Amit.
Thank you, Varsh. Thanks a lot.
So, Amit, when we talk about social proof, can you please explain what exactly social proof is and why it's so important in influencing consumer behavior?
Okay. So basically, the term social proof was can be attributed to Mr. Robert Cialdini. He wrote about it in his book in 1984. The
Right.
name of the book was Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion. I think something like that.
Yes.
And he was the one who coined the term. Basically, social proof is all about wisdom of the crowd, if I can put it like
Mhm.
that.
Right.
So basically, what it means is that people are prone to follow other people, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that when I see a lot of other people are doing the same thing, then I am also sort of influenced to do the same thing,
Right.
and that is in a very short kind of a thing is social proof. Basically, people are influenced by the actions of others. In simpler terms, basically what we can say is it's like wisdom of the crowd. And why
Right.
does it work like that? Because it reduces uncertainty. It basically builds some trust.
Mm-hmm.
Uncertainty means people are not really confident of their own choice. Sometimes they want, in a way, in a manner of speaking, they want others to decide for them. And when
Right.
they see everybody going one way, they are also tempted to follow so you can say it's like sort of like following the herd, and
Mm-hmm.
it sort of builds trust. It creates a sense of belonging in the person that he is actually a part of, some movement or something, basically he's a part of something which is largely acceptable. So that creates a sense of belonging.
Right.
And then people sort of tend to go with whatever others are doing. So that basically in short is social proof. So when somebody says that my brand is selling so many quantity, or
Mm-hmm.
when I launch my product, or let us say a lot of phone brands tend to do it. They say, we had 1 lakh booking in the first 15 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
basically what they're trying to do is that they're talking about social proof, that already so many people have placed their confidence in the
Mm-hmm.
brand. So it is a safe choice as far as we are concerned, because 1 lakh people have booked and all that. So then you can also go ahead and do. So that in turn influences the person, and he also sort of tends to do it. So
Right.
that's how social. It also works negatively sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, there is also a negative aspect to social proof. For example, let us say if and it's a real case study.
Mm-hmm.
They actually did something like they had a they they were actually trying to solve the problem of littering or something like that in a
Mm-hmm.
place. So they put up signs on in those places saying so many people are littering. Please don't do it. Okay,
Right.
that actually worked negatively because people just latch on to the fact that so many others are littering. So
Mm.
littering, instead of actually getting reduced, it increased.
Oh.
So it is something which has to be done very carefully, and the right choice of communication language can
Mm-hmm.
actually work wonders. But at the same time, the wrong choice of communication language can also affect
Of
the
course.
outcome negatively.
Right. So when we talk about influencing, what role do you think influencer endorsement play in social proof, and how can brands choose the right influencers to work with?
Okay, so there is something called as authority bias when it comes to
Mm.
influencers. Now, what an influencer basically is basically he occupies a sort of an exalted position within the person's sort of thought process. So if
Right.
I follow someone, I'll give him some kind of a respect and authority, and
Mm-hmm.
they actually use that to endorse products. That's how it works. And when they endorse products, and because they are influencers, they will get a lot of engagement. seeing that engagement becomes another kind of a social proof. So, for example, if an influencer puts out something saying, this is good or this is whatever, and this is even
Mm-hmm.
something, sometimes they say this is bad, and you
Right.
see a lot of people engaging with, a lot of people liking it, and then it becomes a kind of a social proof for the person, for that particular specific person who's going through it at that time. So he will
Mm-hmm.
tend to follow it.
Right.
Also say that influencers need to be, authentic, or they have to be trustworthy and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it works to a certain extent, but a recent study by Sprout Social also said that 35% of Gen Z, they don't really care about the authenticity of the influencer. All they
Oh.
care about is following. So
Right.
basically, one out of three people, they just care if this guy, so many people are following this guy
Uh-huh.
must be saying something right. So
Right.
that's how the whole thing of influencing works. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how it builds on the social proof, because when people say that, okay, this guy is being liked, being admired, being respected, being engaged with a lot of other followers, people like me, for example, are
Mm-hmm.
liking his content, are engaging with him, that becomes a very powerful persuasion on that particular person. So that's how this influencer thing kind of works. They also create a sense of social currency around a product, basically.
Mm.
And seeing a favorite influencer use a product can make consumers feel as if it's something trendy or sort of desirable. So all those attributes, like being trendy, being desirable, being aspirational, can be driven by the influencers using the same concept of social proof, as
Mm-hmm.
in sort of, if I can use the word, instilling a sense of wisdom in the crowd and then using that wisdom to drive the product outcomes.
Right. Right. And I guess this sort of influencer endorsement, the negative side of it, they are called dark patterns, and they can be
Yes.
exploited. So, can you give us a brief gist of what exactly dark patterns are and how they exploit the social proof bias in manipulating consumer behavior?
Okay. First, let's start with what is a dark pattern. A dark pattern is defined as a deceptive design technique used to influence people towards what that particular entity wants.
Right.
So that is the technical definition of a dark pattern. Now,
Mm-hmm.
let us say, end of the day, I want you to buy my product, correct?
Right.
Or I want you to give me money or do whatever, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, now what happens in a dark pattern is, you would have seen websites, for example,
Mm-hmm.
let us say when you are looking at booking a hotel, for example, you will
Mm-hmm.
see, things like 20 people are looking at this property right now,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Right or wrong? Okay.
Yeah.
Or when they offer you a deal, for example, a reverse timer will activate, saying you
Mm-hmm.
have so many minutes to finish this. Or sometimes it can be genuine, but
Mm-hmm.
mostly it is used to drive you down the funnel. For example, if you are looking at a property and I want you to book that property, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I will use that kind of technique, saying, okay, so many people are looking at it. Another
Mm-hmm.
kind of a dark pattern is, urgency and scarcity. Now, scarcity bias is something about which Robert Cialdini also spoke.
Mm-hmm.
When people see that something is getting scarce or something
Mm.
is, selling fast, they a sense of urgency is creating, and they also want in. Again, it's
Right.
a kind of a social proof, because when somebody says it is selling fast and
Mm-hmm.
stocks are finishing fast, it's going away very soon, it
Yes.
sort of conveys a message that yes, many people are buying it.
Yes.
It's an indirect way of selling that many people are buying it,
And it
and then
triggers.
that acts on your, yeah. Then it triggers the sense of urgency,
Mhm.
and people tend to act impulsively at that time. And basically, the idea of a dark pattern is to not give you time to think
Mm-hmm.
and make you react, and
Right.
react to their agenda.
Yes.
React to their agenda. Now, another kind of dark pattern is when you are going on a website and they
Mm-hmm.
want you to select a particular option. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what they will do is, those options are pre-selected,
Right.
right? For example, you are on a bank site.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a bank, I'll give you, very recent example which I myself saw. I was on a bank site, I was transferring money to my friend's account.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was on the right, on the last page where I have to just, submit and do all that, there was an
Mm-hmm.
option pre-selected saying that uh, take a loan and make installments out of it.
Oh.
Now, I had money in my account to transfer,
Uh-huh.
so I just wanted to transfer some money, that's all. But the
Right.
option where it told me to convert it into a loan and EMI was pre-selected. Now,
Yes.
if I had not been careful, I would
Uh-huh.
have just went along with it, and before I knew it, that transfer would have been a loan to me by the bank,
Mm.
and my
Right, right,
account would have remained untouched. So that is
right.
another kind. Now let us come. You got it right. So the
Yes.
point is, when they don't want you, or when they disclose information selectively, or
Mm-hmm.
not very ethically, and they want you to basically go by their agenda,
Hmm.
and that's what basically is a dark pattern. Now,
Right.
how is dark pattern used in kind of a social proof setting? Now, coming back to that point, have you, obviously all of us know, what is a
Mm-hmm.
fake review? You've heard of fake reviews, right?
Of course, yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and you have heard of bots liking the content. These are not
Mm-hmm.
real human beings.
Right.
Okay, so I put out a piece of content saying this is good or this is bad, and I
Mm-hmm.
have hundreds and thousands of bots like
Hmm.
that. And then all these fake reviews, which are being put by again using bots or using
Right.
people who are working for on my payroll, and they're not really customers. Their job
Mm-hmm.
is to just type out a fake review and give a 5 star and then move on to the next. So that is where they use social proof and dark patterns come together.
Right, right. Uh,
And this is something which is more common than you think. And there are a lot of brands who can sometimes fall prey to these tactics given by agencies saying we'll make you trend very fast, or something like that.
of course.
So
In
so
fact, I have seen fake reviews even on a site like Amazon, which
yes,
most people trust. But I guess there are lots of reviews, fake reviews on products that aren't authentic. Those are also there.
yes, yes.
Yes.
And another thing, they use authority bias in terms of social. Now let us say a big movie star or a big politician or a big
Hmm.
businessman. He has a lot of followers. I
Right.
will basically create a clone of a page. Let us say the page
Hmm.
will look like a regular publication.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a regular publication which you and me all know. It could be a Times, it could be an Indian Express, it could be anything. And
Right.
on that page, they will print, they'll put an photo of that big politician or business
Hmm.
leader or a movie star and say that how I money made out of crypto, how I made money from crypto, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
then there'll be a link, and people actually fall prey to these tactics because they think it is the actually this celebrity who's telling me to invest.
Right.
So
Right.
these kind of things are now becoming very common, and they will
Mm-hmm.
put ads on regular social platforms like Facebook and all that, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow their ads also get through. So this is
Right.
something which is a very, basically it is all uh, inauthentic, non-genuine, with a hidden
Mm-hmm.
agenda, made to fool people into acting quickly without giving them a lot of time to think.
Right. So, Amit, can you please tell us how businesses can use the social proof bias in a more transparent and ethical manner to build genuine trust and credibility within their customers?
Now it all depends on what business you have. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you are working for a relatively lesser known business with a get rich quick kind of a agenda, and if they have very high expectations, they will probably not be doing this, and they
Hmm.
will probably be, somehow or the other, by hook or by crook, hoodwink people into acting on what they want them to act on. But
Mm-hmm.
if the brand is somewhat respectable, and there are many out there, what they can possibly do is make it more authentic. Uh, Instead of fake content, they can actually, put up real testimonials from real people, show the person behind the consumer, and also use contextual data. For example, I might be showing, real consumers talking about my product positively,
Mm-hmm.
that is one side of the things. I will contextualize that kind of a approach by using actual data on customer satisfaction, which my
Mm.
brand has, actual data on net promoter score, which my brand has. So now
Okay.
both these two things put together can actually create a positive social proof for the would-be consumers or the prospects. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one thing which basically which is a kind of a best practice for most
Mm-hmm.
of the brands, using real people. Now it may or may not be possible on a platform like, for example, any e-com platform. You see a
Right.
product, you see 25,000 reviews. I'm sure no brand can control that kind of traffic, and how many people
Right.
can, and you cannot influence. Or usually, what brands, if it is in their hands, they try to curate this with their consumers, and sort of a joint collaborative effort, saying, "Sir, if you are happy, would you like to do this for me?" And
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And
Right.
this they can achieve through, their own surveys, one-to-one interactions,
Mm-hmm.
feedback loops, and whatever else, whatever you want to call it. At the
Right.
same time, there are entities who will probably take the shortcut and say, "Okay, boss, I want 20,000 positive reviews," and then
Mm-hmm.
what really. But
Right.
this is how it should be done. All I'm saying is this is how it should be done, because otherwise there is hardly anything to trust on the internet these days.
Yes, yes. That's the
People
thing.
will take things out of context. They will use a video out of
Mm-hmm.
context, or use
Mm-hmm.
only the kind of content which basically supports their point of view. Out of the full video, they won't show what was said before this and what was said after
Mm.
this.
Yeah.
You've seen that as well, right?
Of
This
course,
happens
deep
mainly in
faking
politics,
videos.
but
Yes.
yes, deep faking is another thing. But deep faking will not only deep faking. I mean, deep faking is it also deep faking is existing today because there are not enough AI guardrails
Mm.
today.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, in fact, there's a recent issue which has come up with OpenAI as well. They used a film star's voice, and then there was no consent given, and
Oh,
they are
yes,
now
yes, I
in a
heard
deep
about
mess.
that. Yes.
Yeah, so they got into a bad situation there to take down the demo and all of that,
Mm.
which is another problem. But that is more of I would say, AI guardrail problem, if I can
Right.
call it like that, because that actually gives multiplies the power of bad actors by 1,000 times. So if
Mm-hmm.
you are a kind of a bad actor, brand who just wants quick results, means by using questionable means, you get a
Mm-hmm.
lot of power with all of this,
Right, right.
and then you can do whatever you want. In fact, people are using this to create riots, and they're
Mm.
actually using all this to create social unrest as well. And all this
Right.
works as a kind of a social proof, because when you show a particular community in a bad light, again the community which you are targeting, they will think, okay, so many of these guys are against us. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes like a negative social proof, and then they act.
Right, right.
So the
Uh,
future trend, if you can call me, if possible, with the kind of regulation and the guardrail, is nothing but transparency and ethics. And
right.
that is what will differentiate the brands going forward
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to using social proof to create a positive impact for their consumers.
Mm-hmm. So, any other future trends do you see in the use of social proof and cognitive biases in marketing, respect to marketing?
So as I said, there are a couple of things which I would like to point out when it comes to real marketing is
Mm-hmm.
use if you can use the term micro influencers. This can probably pick up going forward.
Right.
These are the people with less reach,
Mm-hmm.
less number of followers, but they are more authentic, more genuine. Another thing is basically, initially during the social media days, there used to be something called as community building that has again started,
Mm.
making a comeback in a manner of speaking. Personalization, as I spoke, using AI and analytics to, showcase the consumers which are actually and that can beneficial for the learning of the prospects.
Right, right.
That is another. And as I said, other than these three, you have ethical considerations that will also be. It might some of it might come by way of regulation. Some of
Mm-hmm.
it will probably be inherently driven by the brands themselves. But if not authentic, at least ethics, the consumers and the followers and the audience at large will start, filtering out stuff which appears ethical as compared to which doesn't appear ethical.
Right, right.
And
That,
obviously, using transparency
of course, because
and
brands
value-based,
ultimately yeah, brands, if they need to grow in the long term, they have to build trust and credibility with their consumers. You want brand loyalty after all.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Uh,
And that can come only by transparency.
of
I
course.
mean, being transparent, being ethical, and sooner or later, these kind of brands, there are, it's not that shortcuts will go away completely. It will happen. Some of the brands might even use a kind of a, shortcut once in a while to, jack up something. But,
Mm-hmm.
and because end of the day, it's all humans. We
Mm-hmm.
are all working in our environments. We have our daily pressures. How a particular human being will react to the kind of pressure being put to him is something which cannot be predicted.
Of
So
course.
somebody might, even if the brand might stand for, so they will have to. So another thing which will have to come is a kind of a checks and balances as to how do we prevent this from happening. Even even if my brand as a whole is good,
Mm-hmm.
I might have some people working in my team who might want to take a shortcut, who might even be able to get away with it.
Right, right.
So another thing which will come is how do I prevent that from? So
Mm-hmm.
these are the few things, which can probably, will take center stage in future, which is, influencers which are not very big,
Mm-hmm.
communities, again, very targeted. So basically, the quality might, make a comeback over quantity, if you
Mm-hmm.
want me to summarize this in one line.
Right. That was
And
beautifully
that's what
summarized.
probably the consumers might also look for. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
definitely. The
And
insights,
obviously the ethics and transparency and all of that.
of course, Amit, your insights were wonderful, and you beautifully summarized it in the end. So that concludes our today's episode. If you have
Yes.
liked it, then please do subscribe our channel, Leaders Legacy. Until next time.